This is Faith Howard Mooney from the Mortgage Collaborative, and this is Inside the TMC Family. And today I have with me Tom Deeley, who is the Director of Strategic Growth at Flite Financial. Thanks for doing this with me, Tom.
You are more than welcome. Happy to be on the show, Faith.
Yeah, so we're going to learn a little bit more about you today. But before we get started, do you want to just speak a little bit to who Top Flight is so people have a frame of reference?
Absolutely. So we are an independent mortgage banker that has been in business for 22 years. We are privately owned and headquartered in the state of Michigan by a couple named Tim and Tracy Bass, who started the company.
All right. Well, we're going to get going and start talking about you personally. This is one of my favorite things ever to do. And I've got like a delightful accent with me today. I think everybody would agree with that. It's easy to hear. Um, so, first question, first job that you ever held?
So my first job was actually in a grocery store chain in New Zealand that no one's heard of because it's New Zealand. But this store chain was called New World, and I was the checkout person. So what does that entail? I guess it's quite clear, but I did make it my personal goal to have the best, ratio of scans per minute in the whole department for the groceries. So that was my job, and I like to make a competition of everything. So that's what I did.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we already understand a little bit about like why you got into mortgage. Very competitive environment. I found that people in mortgage always, no matter what role, tend to be relatively competitive people. But how did you get from like grocery store checkout person to being in the mortgage industry? What was your path?
Yeah, so I guess the backstory there, and it's worth mentioning, is I initially came over to the USA to play some college soccer. Met my wife over here whilst I was in college, and she didn't let me leave, which I'm very happy about. Love being here. And then after I graduated, I played and coached soccer full time before entering the mortgage industry through actually another model match or another TMC partner in model match, and Eric Levin specifically.
Oh,
He's a
fantastic.
Yeah, Eric is my mentor and taught me a lot. So I entered the industry through model match and learned a lot, and then parted ways, about 3 years ago to join Top Flight. So yeah.
Fantastic. What a great mentor to have in the industry. He's been in for a while, knows a ton of people.
Yeah.
Very smart individual in our network. Well, I love it that that's how that happened. That's a great story. And as with a lot of other people, you didn't necessarily have a goal of being in mortgage from the beginning. That's
No,
a very normal
no, I
thing.
think most people kind of fall into it, right? I think you have that competitive attitude, the drive, and maybe for me at least, it was a little bit of unsureness about, hey, what am I gonna do once I finish playing, coaching soccer? Having a family to provide for, and for me, this just turned out to be the perfect environment to thrive in. And Eric was a great mentor and model match to learn what I needed to learn to be successful.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Great story. Is there one thing that when you were like, coming into the industry or as you've like progressed in your career that you thought, gosh, I wish I would have known that when I started?
Yeah, I think so, because our industry, we have so many incredibly smart people and so many different things going on in different sectors of the industry. And for someone entering, and it was for me a little bit, it can be a little bit daunting as you start to realize how much stuff there is to learn. And from the get go, I value the importance of being able to learn as much as I could. Um, but then also at the same time, quickly realize that I need to be really good at what I do, and then just make sure I'm surrounded by people that are experts inside their sector. So I think that's the main thing, is not trying to know everything that's going on, and then to throw out something else as well, Faith. Especially in recruiting, I think this is a big thing. Is there's really two things that everything comes down to, and it's true across the industry, and it all comes down to time and money. right? Everything else falls into one of these two categories, one way or another. And I think the exercise we did recently in Denver, right? The $100,000 hour is a great example of that. Like that's what we're trying to do. It's about creating efficiencies and saving or making more money.
Yep, it is. And there's definitely been, like, I think that COVID and what we went through during the pandemic made that really super clear to people. And people are much more on that type of a path than they probably were in
Yeah,
the past, just because your business has required you to be on
couldn't
that.
agree more.
Yep. If you were in mortgage, what would we find you doing?
It's funny, I don't want to be too predictable, but at this point, I've kind of given away the soccer thing a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But I can play on that a little bit. So I have found a way to, that is my passion, soccer, and I have found a way to stay connected to that. So I'm a co-owner of a minor soccer league team here in Hickory, where I live, fourth division, semi-professional. So that for me is what I would be doing. It would be something to do with soccer. And, the mortgage industry has, I guess, blessed me, in a way to be able to stay connected to that, just not on the sideline or on the pitch. But it's great fun nonetheless. So that's what I would be doing. And I've kind of found a way to incorporate it a little bit.
That is fantastic. That is something that, for those listening, a lot of times, and I think especially now, the mortgage industry does allow people to have a certain amount of flexibility in
Yeah.
many of the jobs in mortgage in their schedules so that they can, mortgage truly usually becomes their passion. But if they have a secondary one as well, it
Yeah.
allows them to have the time to be have that passion out there because we all need to be well-rounded people. And I sometimes
Cool.
think mortgage people aren't as good as that as some
Yeah.
other professions that are out there. You recently attended your first conference with us
Yeah.
in when we were in Denver. And so you joined us not that long ago, but it seems like you and your team have been with us for a long period of time just because you really fit into the spirit of what we're doing here. What is your favorite thing about being part of the TMC family?
Yeah. I think for me, right now it's just the openness that everyone has and the focus around we're all trying to get better and achieve the same things ultimately, within the collaborative and really just create a better experience for the consumer and really uplift the industry as a whole. And I think sharing openly, trying to again make each other better, has been really great. And the conversations around that, I mean, I've already learned a lot from those.
Yeah, fantastic. We always love to hear that because we too believe that we're stronger together. And
Yeah.
it's really a lot about the people and helping everyone else that surrounds you. Ultimately, it makes our industry a lot better and a lot stronger and allows everyone to have a voice in what that is. So I appreciate you so much for doing this with me today. Um, I understand completely. My team raves about your team and how well you fit in here. I think I have a much better understanding of that in just having met you. So appreciate you doing this with me today.
Yeah. It was good fun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.